Yeah, he said he could make, I mean, he said originally he could make it as long as it wasn't on a Thursday.
Okay, great. Hopefully he'll tune in. I haven't heard from him otherwise. And we have not, Mark, we have not heard from our mayor, who is our transit liaison, if he's gonna make it or not. I sent him an email yesterday about it as well, but I didn't hear back. So I'm thinking he might not make it, especially since we kind of changed the date on him there with short notice.
And if he can't make it and you'd like me to maybe set up something one-on-one with him, or you and him and I can always do that too.
Okay, great. Thank you. My maintenance coordinator asked me all kinds of questions today, so.
Uh-oh.
I'll try to repeat some of them.
All right, I will try and
Did Bob didn't say he wasn't coming. Did he say anything to you today? No.
And I mentioned the meeting. Maybe I'll shoot him a text. I don't think Christy's joining us though. That was my impression this morning in our meeting.
Oh. Seems like we're missing quite a few.
Right.
Yep. I imagine that's what I get for changing the time, the day, the week. What I get for being out of town.
How was it being in the homeland?
It was wonderful. I could have not left. Like to be back there now. Bob says he doesn't have the invite, Nancy or Muna.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
I can send it to him.
Thank you. The sun was shining, it was hot. Grass was still green. It was beautiful.
Well, the sun's shining here, the sky's blue, we have new snow on Y East, and the grass is green now. So see, you got it all here without the horrific humidity and heat.
I like heat.
Me too.
Yeah.
Not me.
All right, well,
Get started?
I think so. I think we can
Agreed.
just kind of get going, and if you see me look away, it's because Jerry's keeping me updated on Maya's volleyball game via text. I'll warn you now.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order at 5:38 on the 29th of September. And I would like to, let's see, Nancy, you've made a note of everybody who's here for roll
Yep.
call already. So let's go ahead and get to approval or additions, corrections to the June meeting minutes. Did anyone have anything to add or changes, corrections to make to those meeting minutes?
No.
Okay. So could I get a motion, please, to accept those minutes as written?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Karen. Second?
I'll second.
Bernice seconds. Any opposition? All right, good to go. Next, let's look at the agenda for tonight's meeting. And are there any corrections, additions to that? Probably coming from the Andy, Muna, Nancy realm? No?
I do not have any corrections. I do want to say that we will be having the city council liaison that you see at number 4 will be a repetitive addition to our agenda, and it will always be in the beginning.
Okay. And is that just acknowledgement that of their presence, or?
Hopefully it's more of a communication about city council goals, how they may impact our department, what city council would like to see from our department, kind of an update from city council.
Okay, great, great.
Yeah.
Andy, did you want to add in there in the customer comments at all?
Oh, thank you. I did. We can do that in new business. Yes, thank you. I do have an adjustment. I do want to give an update on customer comments and surveys.
And do that in the new business?
Yeah, let's do it after the Proterra presentation.
Okay,
Thank you.
you bet. Anyone else with anything to add or change in the agenda? Okay, can I get a motion to accept the agenda with the spoken addition from Andy?
I'll make the motion for that.
Bernice,
I guess I'll second.
thank you,
Seem to
Karen.
be the only ones here,
Kind of the way it's going to go tonight, right?
I guess.
I can pipe in too. Okay, any opposition to adopting this agenda? Okay, great. It is adopted. All right, and now let us move to our Proterra presentation, please.
So I'll share my screen. Hello, everybody. My name is, can you guys see that okay? Can you guys?
Yep.
Oh, that looks different.
Well, my name is Mark Hollenbeck. I'm with Proterra. We're a battery electric bus manufacturer out of, we have 2 locations in California and Greenville. I'm the regional sales director for the Northwest. I'm actually located in McMinnville, Oregon. So I'm local to you guys, or close to you guys. It always shocks me how far Sandy is away from McMinnville when I drive over there. But yeah, I've been here since October. I spent the last 20 years with Metro Magazine. So I've been in the transit industry for quite some time, and took the opportunity to come aboard here at Proterra. I've been in talks with Andy talking about replacing the existing buses there at Sandy with beautiful, clean, quiet battery electric buses. And she gave me the opportunity to come on here and present our product and what we're looking to offer the city of Sandy and Sandy area transit. Pretty much I'll give you an overview of Proterra. We have 2 locations, Greenville, South Carolina, and Los Angeles in California. Your buses, hopefully once ordered, will be built in the California plant. We have about 500 plus employees, 130 customers nationwide. We have 1,000 vehicles on the road. Proterra has been in business for about 14 years, with our first deployment about 11 years ago in Foothill, California. And those were the very, very first battery electric transit buses deployed in the United States. And since then, Proterra has been responsible for over 60% of the heavy duty, low floor battery electric transit buses in North America and the United States. These are our locations. Birmingham, California, we have a battery facility. Los Angeles, you can see there is our 1 bus line. And then in Greenville, we have 2 bus lines. What you'll see there on the far left is our battery manufacturing. And what differentiates Proterra from some of our competitors is we're the only OEM that is building their own battery packs as well. So when you're doing business with Proterra, you're doing business with a bus manufacturer and a battery manufacturer. So we answer to both the battery technology and the bus, which is different from the other OEMs in the market. This is a little graph that just shows our different customer base. As you can see, we have a pretty large consortium in California. They were kind of the first adopters for battery electric. But other than that, we're pretty much spread out all over the country. The only deployment we have in Oregon as of today is Wilsonville. So if you're ever down in Wilsonville, you can see they have 3 35-foot Proterras running up and down Wilsonville Road. And those are our only Oregon deployment as of today. So I'm hoping to change that, being an Oregonian myself. So the product I wanted to talk to you about today is our Proterra ZX5. ZX5 stands for zero emissions, obviously. X is for the maximum range, because Proterra battery electric buses offer the most range, the most mileage of any battery electric bus on the market by far. And fifth generation it's our 5th generation bus. So we've gone through 4 previous generations of our bus, and we're on to our 5th. So Sandy coming on now is benefiting from lessons learned and earlier generations throughout the last 11, 12 years in the industry. The bus itself is built from the ground up, and a lot of people kind of ask me what that means. And what built from the ground up means is our founder, Dale Hill, came into this industry to do one thing: to build a bus that's battery electric. So he didn't take a diesel bus or a CNG bus or any other kind of fossil fuel bus and remodel it to be battery electric. He took a plan to create a bus from the ground up to be purpose built to be battery electric. The body is a fiberglass composite, all one piece. So it's non-conductive. It is light, so we can put more batteries and energy on board, and it's safe. It's impact resistance, and probably the safest bus on the road out there today. We build more buses than any other OEM in the industry, and the bus being light and impact resistant makes it the safest for your community. This here shows the bus shell, so you can see kind of what a one piece, it's all one piece, where a lot of the other manufacturers are steel and aluminum, and they're kind of like, they call them box buses. So when they're impacted, and they're really, really heavy, and when they're impacted, there's quite a lot of damage done. And that's why the auto body industry loves transit buses, because there's a lot of repairs to be done when there's impact. On our buses, there just isn't. It's a lot easier to fix. It's corrosion free. So all this beautiful rain that we get in the Pacific Northwest, you're not going to get a rusted out bus. So, the bus is built to last the normal 12 years that's required by the FTA, but it's been tested that this body will probably last 15 to 20, 25 years. So the fiberglass composite allows us a safer vehicle for your community, and it allows us to add more batteries on board. This is kind of the guts of the bus, I guess you could say. The battery, this shows where the batteries are. It's important because we put the batteries in the floor of the bus. So it's the safest place for the batteries. It's away from the crash zone, which is the rear, which is where some of our friendly competitors like to put their batteries. And then some of our competitors also put their batteries on the roof, which causes for a higher center of gravity, I guess you could say. And the drivers say that the buses with batteries on the roof, because batteries are extremely heavy, kind of messes with the center of gravity. So we have proprietary technology to put the batteries in the bottom of the bus. Our drivetrain, as you can see, is in the rear, or behind the wheels. And for what we're recommending, or what I'm recommending for Sandy, and I've talked to Andy about this, is you've had some buses come out there and on the Sandy Local and Gresham Express route, on the way back from Gresham, there's a grade, right? And some of these buses struggle on that grade. What we have is something called dual power, which is a dual rear wheel. It's a tongue twister for me sometimes. Dual rear wheel drive. And what it'll do is it'll give you 530 horsepower on the rear wheels of the bus. And at grades of 5 to 10%, you're going to be able to do 45 to 50 miles per hour on that highway coming back from Gresham to Sandy. Then you can see what we do have on the roof is our HVAC system, which is probably one of the top HVAC systems in the industry. And it also, while it cools the passenger compartment, it also cools the batteries and keeps them at a safe temperature as well, which is also proprietary to Proterra. This is the hill climb and the dual power that I was just talking about. Shows the miles per hour, shows the grade versus a diesel competitor, and then versus the other EV competitors. And I think you might have witnessed that with a demo bus that might have been brought out to Sandy and struggled on that hill. I went out there and I personally rode the Sandy Local and Gresham Express. I caught it at the Sandy Transit Center. I rode it all the way out to Gresham and rode it back. And I'll tell you what, I've ridden hills steeper than that in our ZX5 with a dual power, and it will do highway speeds back up that hill. And hopefully I can get an opportunity to bring a ZX5 out there and show you that in person at some point. Here's the route simulation. So we build two different kinds of buses. So we do 35 foot and 40 foot. Obviously what Sandy would be looking at is 35 foot. The amount of energy on board our 35-foot bus is 450 kilowatt hours. So that's 4 battery packs all on the floor. And we open that up to 90%, where the industry standard is around 75 to 80% usable energy. Proterra is the only OEM allowing up to 90% of usable energy. And that is because we use small cell 2170 cylindrical cell batteries, which is the same batteries that Tesla uses. And we're the only OEM using that technology in the industry, and that's what gives us more range and more energy on board our buses. And then for the route, here it is. That's me right there. I went out there, I had my little GPS device, and rode the bus with one of your lovely drivers. And we did what we do. We did 23 and a half miles. That was the round trip. It took me about 53 minutes. And on the simulation, what that shows there, on a perfect day, 60 degrees, the battery electric bus offered by Proterra would do about 1.726 kilowatt hours per mile. And if you look at that, you have 450 kilowatt hours of energy total on board. And so you look at that like the amounts of gallons of gasoline, 450. And what Proterra is doing is per mile, you're using up 1.726 of that kilowatt hours, which equivalent to your Gillig diesel buses is about 21.8 miles per gallon, which, as most of you may know or may not know, a normal transit bus, diesel bus, gets about 4 or 5 miles per gallon. So it's a huge gain. It's quiet, it's clean.
5.2.
Yeah, so you guys are actually getting a little bit more than the average. Probably because you're going downhill, right? Yeah, and the highway speeds. The highway speeds help diesel buses, right? But yeah, so the
No,
sounds like
just a
somebody
minute.
dog is ongoing. And
Karen,
then
you need to mute, please.
I did.
No, it's you're
It didn't
audible.
mute. It
and so the beginning of life range of the bus there, you can see the 450 bus that we're offering, the 35 footer to Sandy, will get on a full charge about 234 miles. So, we could do about 9 to 10 round trips on a full charge. That being said, if the time ever does come, I was kind of checking out the transit center there in Sandy. And there are opportunity charging options that we could always talk about, where you could have an overhead pantograph charger. And the overhead pantograph chargers can, in about 10 minutes, give you about a 40-mile boost on the bus. So if you need the bus to run all day, 20 round trips, that's possible with opportunity charging. But if you have the 4 buses and maybe 2 splitting up each day, you probably wouldn't need to do that. You could just do depot charging. But that's all stuff we can talk about when we get into the more granular discussion on route modeling and how you want to operate the buses. But at the end of the day, the bus at the beginning of life range on a perfect 60-degree day will be 234 miles. On a 90-degree day with the HVAC blasting, or gosh, I guess now in Oregon, we have to say on the 110-degree day, about 215 miles. In the winter, when it gets real cold, that's cold weather is probably industry-wide for battery electric buses, the hardest for the buses. And that'll probably drop the range down to about 187. And that's what our simulations showed for the 450. But that is the simulation on the specific route that I was asked to go on. And I tried to keep that short and sweet and give time for maybe some questions. And hopefully that was enough.
Thank you so much, Mark. That was great.
No,
I'm
anytime.
wondering how many miles do our buses go a day?
Let's see,
On the Gresham route, Karen?
about 480.
So this would go for about a half a day without being charged?
That's what it seemed like. And I think a lot of the agencies that I'm working with, as of today, many of the applications are 2-for-1 swap out. So it's usually about 2 battery electric buses to replace 1 diesel bus, because obviously diesel buses will run a lot longer and you can fill them up really fast. And like I said, there is an opportunity for opportunity charging at that transit center in Sandy, or even the transit center in Gresham. And that could make the bus run all day if you needed it to. Or what some agencies are doing is you get 4 total buses, and then 2 run half a day and then go back and charge, and the 2 other run the other half a day. So that's also an option.
And how long does it take for a full charge?
Well, the full charge will probably take 3 to 4 hours.
Mark, I've got a question regarding our heat domes that we had this summer. And what was any word from the road, like from our folks in Wilsonville, as far as what they noted as far as HVAC, as far as performance and so on?
Yeah, like I said, the summer was abnormally hot, and the HVAC, you know, probably, you know, for every 10 degrees you go higher, it's probably another 10% lower on the range, right? So if on a normal 90-degree day, you're looking at 215 miles, I think on those days, it's more like 200 to 195. If the HVAC, yeah, if the HVAC is going 100% the whole time, which I'm sure on those days, the HVAC was really working hard, really hard.
I just was wondering, in your averaging of traffic, et cetera, did you take into consideration around here on weekends, it is bumper to bumper as opposed to Monday through Friday or during the week?
Yeah, bumper to bumper is actually surprisingly better for the efficiency than highway speeds. So downhill, we have something called regen. So as our buses are going downhill and the driver is letting up on the accelerator, it almost feels like if you've ever been on an electric golf cart, when you take off the accelerator on a golf cart, it almost feels like it slows down all by itself. The bus is the same way. As soon as the driver releases in, say, 20 mile an hour, 15 mile an hour bumper to bumper traffic, and they're letting go of the accelerator and slowing down naturally, the batteries are actually regenerating. So they're giving up to 30% more power back to the batteries in that kind of scenario. So the bumper to bumper actually increases the efficiency rather than decreases it.
Robert, you have a question? Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Robert.
Sorry, I had,
You're
I'm
muted,
muted.
friend. There we go.
Okay. My question is Mount Hood is a ski resort during the winter time and a summer resort during the summertime, and bumper to bumper traffic going through Sandy is a lot worse than normal bumper to bumper traffic. You're not looking at 10 to 15 miles an hour. You're looking at a lot slower, to where these buses will not be able to regenerate at the speeds that you want. So what does that do for the miles per gallon? Also, does these buses have interior lights? Because we run in early in the morning when it's dark up to late at night when it's dark, and it would be unsafe for passengers to be loading and unloading without any lights.
Yeah, so to answer your question, when I say 5 to 15 miles per hour, it doesn't need to be going that fast to regen. It could regen at 1 mile per hour or 2 miles per hour. So the stop and go, what you're talking about is much like, I was in Las Vegas this past summer for a 2-day demo, and we were doing that. We were going at a snail's pace. I mean, we were going about 10 feet every 30 minutes. And so, yeah, it doesn't need to be going 10 to 15 to regen. It just needs to be slowing down. It can be slowing down from 3 miles an hour to 1 mile per hour. It'll still regen. It may not regen as much, but it still does regen. And going that slow stop and go traffic, very slow, is still an ideal situation for the bus. And what was the other question? I'm sorry, Robert. The
Interior lighting.
Yeah, interior lights. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we have all kinds of interior light setups. Every single bus is built to spec. Every bus is built to spec specifically for what you guys need. So if there's a certain color of lights, a certain kind of lights, we spec all different kinds of interiors, and every single bus is built to order for the agency that wants the bus. So everything is custom, from the seats to the seat configuration, to the lights, to the way the driver area is set up. It's all done on a case-by-case basis. There's no cookie cutter spec that we do. Every spec is by the agency.
And I'm sure since we're in the 21st century and the company's been around during the 21st century mark, that they're obviously Wi-Fi capable or ready.
Yep. Well, I mean, yeah, every bus can be equipped with Cradle Point or Single Point, or whichever Wi-Fi you want. So once we, there's different funding opportunities, 5339, bus facilities or low-no grants. Once you get your FTA money, and then we go to the configuration and contracting process, our customer success team will sit down with Andy or whoever else at Sandy Transit. We have a giant spec sheet that we go through, and it lists camera systems, 8 cameras, 6 cameras, 12 cameras, American seating or USSC seating, heated driver seats, non-heated driver seats, Wi-Fi, non-Wi-Fi, fare boxes. The list goes on and on. That's like a 3-4 hour phone call, and you get how many different variables there are, and all the IT and electrical equipment is neatly placed in a locked box right behind the driver console. It lifts overhead as interior lighting for easy access, and we also have a maintenance diagnostic computer tool, which, the bus is essentially a giant computer. It really is. And the maintenance technicians can plug directly in their diagnostic tool, and they can quickly see all the temperatures of all the battery packs. They can see the HVAC operation. They can see the Wi-Fi. They can see the cameras, and easily diagnose and fix any problems either remotely or on site.
In the event of some emergency of some sort, Does Sandy have access to a charging station in Gresham? Do we have the right to use it if we needed it?
That's a good question. That would probably be probably an MOU with TriMet. If there's a charging station there, it's probably going to be owned by TriMet. So that would probably be something that Sandy would. I have several agencies that have agreements together where if they need to, they can use each other's charging. The good thing about the charging infrastructure now today is all the plug-in chargers are SAE standard to 1772. So even if you had to, are you familiar with Electrify America and all the stations they've put in across the country? They are in Walmart parking lots and Target parking lots. It was a national program. Even those chargers you can plug into our bus and charge if you absolutely have to, because they're all 1772 compliant. So all the transit buses, all the electric buses, all have that same standard on the plug-in. And then if you do ever choose to, or if we do decide to have the overhead charging rails for the pantograph, that is standardized too at 3105. So your bus would be able to charge off the overhead pantographs that TriMet has down in, I think they have some over in Beaverton. Those are all standardized as well.
So are you saying that they don't have a charging station in Gresham for TriMet?
The Gresham station that I stopped at, is that the one on, that's the one on Powell, right? I didn't see one, but I was in the bus, so I didn't get a really good look around. There probably will be at some point, but I know right now, I've been working with Young Park at TriMet, and he told me they only have 2 of their routes that they're even using their electric buses on right now anyway. So I think they have a very limited scope of operation as we speak, but I'm sure as this, all these projects move forward, I'm sure at some point there will be something there.
I have another question. Do you, okay, is it a long training period for the mechanics to learn to maintenance on the electric? Is there any difficulty? Is it easy? Do you provide that training, or what happens with that?
Yeah, we offer a full curriculum of training for a couple different facets. We offer a full curriculum for the operators. So we will come out and do about 36 hours of training just for your drivers. And we can either do train the drivers, or we can do a train the trainer, where we can train one of your drivers to be a trainer for future drivers. And we offer that with every single bus delivery, a full curriculum of driver training. And then we also offer the same amount of hours, about 36 hours of curriculum training for maintenance staff. And, a lot of these mechanics, it is a little intimidating at first, but once they get into it, they realize that, for the most part, it's bus stuff. It's fixing a leaky door, or fixing a window, or fixing a seat, or stuff like that. The good thing is there's no oil changes, and there's no, maintenance like that. No fluid changes, no gasoline, no oil all over their hands. They go home really, really clean. So the maintenance is surprisingly easy. When it gets into the high voltage and the issues with the batteries and the more intimidating things, we have a full staff of field service reps, and we can have someone on site within 24 hours of any of our locations assisting your maintenance. And that's an ongoing training tool as well. I mean, we have deployments in Everett, Washington, King County, and Seattle, where they've had buses for 6-7 years, and they still have our field service reps go out there, at least, every couple of weeks. And so it's an ongoing training and education for sure. But also to answer your question, we do consider every single deployment a partnership, and we will never deliver a bus and just walk away. We are always on hand and always looking for every deployment to be successful. So your success is our success, and we'll always be there to support your maintenance staff and have someone on site if needed.
So Mark, do you have some sort of like, do you guys, surely you do, have a matrix of cost of operations of an electric bus versus a diesel bus, whether it be, you know, the day-to-day gas mileage and all that, but also maintenance as far as lube oil and filters? And do you have some sort of, I mean, surely you've been collecting data on that, if you could.
Sure, I can share that post meeting if you like. I don't have it on hand right now, but I know that kind of the delta of where the bus, because over the lifetime of a battery electric bus, usually around 5-6 years in, you know, it is less expensive to operate a battery electric than a diesel. So over the life of a 12-year bus, it is definitely less expensive on the maintenance side and fuel side, obviously, than a diesel bus.
And that was my next question. I mean, I know the bus probably has a 12-year lifespan. Do the batteries as well have a 12-year lifespan?
Yeah, so you can see here and there's a couple options here. So the beginning of life range right there on a perfect day is 234. The end of life, which is 12 years in, drops down to about 187. So that's a degradation of about 50 miles over 12 years. That being said, there is an extended warranty that you can get on the batteries that will give you the option to swap out for brand new battery packs at the mid-year life range at 6 years. So if you do see degradation below 70% or 72% at 6 years, with that warranty, we'll swap out the batteries, all 4 packs, to give you fresh batteries. Also, there's another option that we can always talk about as we get closer to how you want to purchase these buses, to lease the batteries. And what leasing does is basically it spreads out the cost of the batteries over 12 years instead of buying them all up front. So say a bus is, say a bus is $800,000, okay? And you want to lease the batteries instead of buy them up front. The price of the bus would go down $200,000. So the upfront cost will go from $800,000 to $600,000. And then you would lease those batteries for 12 years, right? And that would mean that you wouldn't have to get a warranty, because we would essentially own the batteries and we would replace those batteries at the 6-year point for you. So there's that option as well. So there's several different ways to get there, but this here shows the end of life and kind of the degradation that we're expecting on the batteries. So that, I hope that answers that question.
It does. Thank you.
Okay. So the good thing about the battery lease too, just to add on to that a little bit, is that you can then use your capital funding for the purchase of the bus, and you can use your operating funding for the battery lease. So the battery lease almost, as I've seen it when I've worked on battery leases with people, the monthly lease payment is approximately, about the same as what they spend on diesel fuel, right? So it's an operating cost instead of a capital expense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how that, yeah, I'll have to wrap my mind around that, but that is an interesting concept. And do you know off the top of your head, like 35-foot, what is it, ZX5, the like general ballpark cost, and then the general ballpark cost if you were to lease the batteries?
Yeah, so I mean, the general ballpark for your 35-foot with the dual power is probably gonna be close to 900,000, you know, approximately, give or take, here and there, whatever. You know, the thing that adds on to the cost of the bus mostly is the configurations, like the Wi-Fi, the cameras, the seats. And then the battery lease would reduce that price by 200,000. So it's approximately about $51,000 per battery pack. And you have 4 packs on that bus. And the lease over 12 years for 4 battery packs is usually around somewhere between $2,000 and $2,400 a month.
Great. Those are good numbers to know. Thank you.
Yep. And don't hold me to any of that because it could all be, you know, I could.
Of course. Yeah.
I have another question.
Yep.
So if the city of Sandy were to buy an electric bus, at the end of the life span of 12 years, what would the resale value be and the benefits of having an electric bus as a trade-in for the city of Sandy?
That's a really good question. I have no idea what the resale value would be. I have no, I could investigate that and get back to you. I know that no agency in the country has had a battery electric bus for 12 years. So no one's done that yet. But I can definitely research it and get back to you. I know there are Blue Book values coming online, like as we speak, for battery electric buses. But I don't have a solid answer on that because no one's done it yet, to be honest.
So on that same, whatever, I have no words tonight. What does it look like to properly dispose of those batteries at the end of the bus life? I mean, does that end up being a bigger cost to the agency to do a proper disposal? Or recycling program?
Yeah, we are partnering with a company called Redwood, which is a couple of executives that left Tesla to specifically open up a battery recycling facility. They've been on the news recently. They just signed a partnership with Ford as well, because this is something that people are looking at down the road. The good thing about the battery packs on these buses is at the end of life, at the end of 12 years, they're still at about 70 to 75% usable energy. So there is post-life for these battery packs, for energy storage at a maintenance facility, for transit life. So they're not done with their usable life at the end of the 12 years. They're only done with giving a transit bus its maximum range of mileage. So the battery packs are actually built to be stackable. And some agencies like Reno, they are some of our oldest buses, are now stack the battery packs, take them out of the buses, stack them in their maintenance facility for energy storage. And then they can charge those battery packs up and charge off those packs instead of off the grid. So there's different options for the battery packs other than just thinking about like you have to recycle them at the end of 12 years, because you don't have to. There's other uses for those batteries at the end of 12 years. There's still usable energy on those packs.
That's really cool.
Yep.
Mark, I had a question that came up, and that is, are all of the buses, I believe you said what, 130, was it 130 agencies, or about how many buses are in service currently?
1,000 buses in service, 130 customers.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So of those 1,000 buses, well, let me rephrase my question. Have any buses that have been in service needed to be replaced?
None of our ZX5s. We have had some that need to be replaced that were the first generation. So like I said, Proterra 11, 12 years ago, we were the very, very first battery electric buses to market. Those buses had a range of 35 miles. So they were early technology. About 3 years into those deployments, you know, Proterra was into our 3rd generation bus, and they went back and replaced some of those with that. But those were the only ones that have ever been replaced. None of the nothing from the 3rd generation to the 5th generation has had to be replaced. No.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, the 1st generation to the 5th is kind of like comparing an iPhone 1 to the iPhone, 12 Max.
Hey, Mark, this is Christina. I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
First question was, did you say over the course of the lease on the batteries that it was about $2,400 a month, $2,000 to $2,400 a month? Did I hear that right?
Yes, that's what I've seen. I could be way off there, but that is the number that's in my head right now. I could get an exact number for you on a battery for this type of bus if you want it.
No, I mean, that gives me an idea because the cost of that lease then would be about $345,000 and it reduced the cost of the bus by about $200. So that gives me an idea there. And then when the lease is up, who owns the batteries and what happens? Do they get taken out of the bus by Proterra and then we have a bus with nothing in it and no real resale value, or how are you guys working that?
Yeah, so
not that you've done it yet, because I know you haven't done it.
Yeah, we haven't done it yet.
Plan.
I've been asked that question before. I don't have a really solid answer to it because I don't know what happens. I can definitely chase down an answer for you on that. I know that the batteries are owned by Proterra because you're leasing them. There will, I'm sure, be some sort of offer given to buy back the batteries or to buy back the bus at that point. But like I said, we haven't gotten there yet. So I don't have a solid answer for you on the end of life of a battery lease and what happens to those batteries. This is actually the 2nd time I've been asked that question, and I have asked for an answer, and I kind of at the mercy of my leadership to get a solid answer on that. And you're right, you do end up spending, at the end of the day, you spend a lot more on the batteries if you lease them than if you buy them up front. But some agencies prefer that only because it allows them to buy, 4 buses instead of 2 buses at the upfront cost. So that's the advantage with the battery leasing. You kick the can down the road and pay a little bit more, but the upfront cost is less, so you can buy more buses. That's what the agencies have looked at it, the way they've looked at it and the examples that I've seen.
Yeah, I get that. I think $145,000 isn't quite close enough to kick that can down the road for my taste, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's like everybody else.
No, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. If you want to own and pay less, or pay more upfront, but own it. Yeah, I mean, if you could afford to do that, that's great.
So Mark, about how much is that, just to jump in on piggyback on what she's asking, how much is that warranty that replaces the battery at 6 years if they, are not?
Yeah, we're just getting into a new warranty, like as we speak, but generally speaking, the warranty on the 4 packs is approximately $75,000 per bus for the warranty, for the extended warranty.
Yeah. Okay.
I can get you a full sheet that kind of shows all their warranties, because we have extended warranties on stuff. The bus body is a 12-year warranty. There is a bumper-to-bumper warranty that's offered. There's specific extended warranties on all the components and the batteries, and I can get you a full price sheet on that, if you like, after the meeting.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I can see where there's a lot of different options, and if you don't have the funding up front, but you do have operations funding, then I can see where you might try to get creative and lease your batteries. I'm sure that everybody's different and has different reasons, but yeah, anyway. All right, so I'm good.
Great questions, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for the great questions and for your answers too, Mark.
Oh, that was fun. That was good.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Much appreciated. And this is recorded too, so if people have questions, they can watch this and then ask you more questions. So, yeah.
I'll stop sharing and hogging the screen. Yeah, like I said, Andy has my contact information, and so if anyone, the burning question that they have after the meeting that they didn't ask, or if I didn't answer anything well enough, I'm always reachable and more than happy to answer any more questions.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. We will let you go and have your evening, Mark. Thank you so much for joining us.
I got teenage boys here that are like crying for dinner, so I'll get out of here. It was great to meet all of you, and I hope we get to work together. Like I said, it's local to me, Oregon, and I'd love to see battery electric buses up there in Sandy.
Thank you so much, Mark. It was a great presentation.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay, now off to ridership or on to ridership.
Are we on to ridership, or is this where we were going to talk about some comments that came through recently?
Okay, go for it.
I changed the agenda on you.
No, I know. I just didn't see. No, go ahead.
So I just, we recently did surveys, first of all. They just wrapped. So we are going to share, and I'll put them on my screen because I don't like when people read to me, and I'll read you a couple of them, but you can then fast read the other ones while I'm slow reading to you. But before I get to that, I think it's really important you guys put your time and effort into this board and into decisions about SAM. And I know that we all know SAM is a really good system, but when you know, we're here and we hear that feedback on a day-to-day. Well, it's not day-to-day, but you know, every once in a while, but you guys don't necessarily hear the feedback that we do. We get to hear dispatch as they interact with customers. And so we get the feedback. So I just feel like it's important to provide it for you guys every once in a while. I'm going to have Muna tell you about a recent, and we have a new contractor. So we need to make sure that you guys know how our contractor is doing and our drivers with that contractor. So I'm going to turn it over to Muna to talk about some a recent conversation with a woman who needed a ride, and then I will share my screen with some comments from the survey.
So I recently had a call from a lady who lives just outside the city, so she's still within our area that we'll transport. And she is legally blind and has a progressive eye disease. Recently just gave up her driver's license and was just incredibly anxious about taking the SAM. I think I probably spent 30 to 45 minutes on the phone with her, just continually walking through the process of how things work. So we set her up to do a test ride, and she went with her grandson, and I'll just give you a couple of her comments. She said the driver was absolutely superb. She had no reason to worry. They helped her out of the vehicle. They took her exactly where she wanted to go, and it just greatly decreased her anxiety. So she called back just to let us know what a great asset we had and that she was ready and willing to use the system again. So it was a pretty great comment, I think, and a pretty great testament to our drivers. We have a great group of people that do the bones of what we have. So that's
and thank you, Muna, and other staff too. It does it over time, but in investing the time to help her feel comfortable and give her some guidance as far as how it works, so that she had that going in.
And that honestly is what we're here to do. Like, that just warms our hearts and makes us excited that we're doing what we intended to do.
All right, so I'm gonna see if I can share. And also just a reminder that that is something that we offer always. Anyone who needs travel training or is anxious, we will go with them on their ride if they request it. We do offer that. All right, so let's see if I can share my screen for you guys. Share screen and comments. So I'm just going to pick a couple out of the blue. You can see that everybody's love Sam. It's easy, it's convenient, especially since I don't drive. You're reliable, your drivers are kind. I like how the drivers are so personable and friendly. They make me feel safe and secure while traveling such long distances to work. Super grateful for your service. There's one in particular. Is it gonna let me scroll down? It's like showing this to me like it's a picture. Here we go. I know most of the drivers from riding and the operators that do the scheduling. These are hardworking people. I have also found that if I am on time, should be, and everyone could be, their day would run so smooth. I would like to thank each and every one for their service. I have trouble with my balance and I'm helped often getting on and off with my walker and groceries. They become friends. Thank you, people. So as you can see, and it goes on, Christina, there's comments about Mount Hood Express. I wouldn't have made it to government camp without Mount Hood Express. They obviously love using it as a mountain bike shuttle. They like the system. It's convenient since they don't drive. There was one. Bus service has been exemplary throughout the troubles of the decade, save for general traffic and weather obstacles, but well, Oregon, thanks to the helpful drivers and staff. So just great overall comments. And, you know, we've always heard how great our drivers are. So just the continuation of knowing that we continue to provide such a safe environment for these riders is exactly what we strive for every day. So wanted to share that with you guys. I'm sure that we'll provide these comments to City Council, you know, through our staff narrative. And there's a couple of these that we're going to pull out and put on our website. But kudos to you, Bob, and your team. Seems like things are going really well, and the drivers are very professional.
Can I ask a question? Have you ever considered including some of these comments in any promotional pieces, not just on your email, but any pamphlets or even ads or anything?
Yeah, it's a good idea. We have put these, we've run a couple ads before, and we've put some of these comments, we've put them in the water newsletter. I don't think they're doing anymore, but that's a really good idea, Bernice. We should add some of these. They do you know, Sandy News that they send out now every month. We should include some of these in that. And then like I said, we will put these on our website. We might put them out there on Facebook as well. But it'd be a good idea, you know, every time we sign someone up for Dial-A-Ride service, we send them a letter that explains our service, and we have a little brochure that we send with it that talks about how to catch the bus and what the rules are. And it'd be a good idea to put some of these quotes on there. Yeah. Probably should update the picture. We've had the same passenger on our brochure since I made it, and that was probably, I don't know, 7 years ago. So, but he still rides. So, but yeah, that's a really good comment. We should do that. But that's our feel good piece for the night. And we're approaching 6:30. So
Fabulous, fabulous.
Right.
Okay. So now, you want to talk about ridership now that we're talking about how great the riders love us? And this is marketing queen here in PR for umpteen decades, right? Yeah.
that is true. I need to get you over here to help us with some of our marketing materials, Bernice. So this is showing that in 20, can you guys see this? You see, okay. So in 2019, you see our orange and we were trucking along and doing really well and ridership was up. And then 2020 is our blue line and we're doing even better. And then COVID hit. So that blue line there is our COVID ridership. That's the overall system. Sam Gresham route is anywhere, it used to be about 80 to 85%. Lately, it's been more in the 75% range of our ridership. But it is our workhorse. So, I mean, that is the bulk of where our ridership comes from. You can see in the green and the gray line, sorry, that we're starting to slowly climb back. We're still nowhere near 2019, but we are slowly starting to see some of those rides return. Sam Gresham is still pretty light. It's lighter still than Dial-A-Ride and Ed, which are coming back. We're not, so a lot of agencies across the state are seeing ridership at 50%. We are not, ours are, it's a reduction of about 35%. So we're not as, I mean, we could be doing much better, but we are starting to see the return of riders. Hopefully they will continue to come back.
What about on the Dial-A-Ride, or I shouldn't say, I don't know what you're calling it now, the one where they call you and you pick them up door to door?
Sam rides.
Yep, Sam rides. Thank you. It's really hard to not call it Star, let me tell you. But so Sam rides is coming back. It's not where it used to be. So pre-COVID, we would have anywhere from 1,100 to 12, almost 1,400 a month. We're hovering more in the high 600s to 800 range. So we have one vehicle out right now. We currently don't have the need for two vehicles. Bob and I just talked about this morning with a customer, but it's coming back. It's not as down as it was. Ed is about the same. Ed is back. That program is doing pretty well.
How soon ahead do you have to call?
For the Sam rides, we can do same day now. We can still try to schedule same day rides. I mean, if we're talking about an out of town ride on Ed, then we need probably a couple of days to make sure we can fit it in the schedule. But if you're talking about a Sam rides in town, day before and likely the day of, we can still get you in there.
I may be calling you. I wrecked my car last week.
Oh no.
My brand new car, 4,000 miles on it, less than 4,000.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it was right in Sandy, so I was going slow. The other car was dented. The whole front end of mine fell off.
Well, I know where you can get excellent service by very professional drivers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The thing with doing same day rides is a little bit easier with us as the contractor because we require the managers and the road supervisors to hold their commercial license. So if there's a spot where we can't pick them up with the regular Dial-A-Ride, we have the ability to where I, myself, or my road supervisors can go out and help with the same day ride.
That's good to know. I've been trying to arrange rides, but I can't always get them.
All right. Do you want me to just move right into funding updates and
Go ahead and go for funding, please.
All right,
Yes.
thank you. So I'm gonna run all through this. We're looking at 20 minutes left for the entire meeting, and I do want to give Christina a moment to have comments if she's got neighbor comments. Okay, she's waving me that it's okay and fine. Funding updates, I'm just gonna put funding updates, stiff funding, and flat funding, all just gonna put them all together for you. We are looking pretty good for funding. We did put our budget together, which was approved by City Council. In the meantime, our typical federal funding that we get through 5311, we got a pretty good bump in funding this year. We did get some continued influx of CARES Act funding. I believe there's some ARPA funding coming very soon. I don't know how much or what that looks like, but there is some there that is specifically for transit. Not just 5311, but pretty much all of our STF funding, our 5310, all got just a slight bump. So we didn't lose any funding this year. We haven't seen decreases, and we have the influx. We currently have a stiff plan with stiff funding, and that funding should have began July 1st. We, City of Sandy, as well as all of our Clackamas County partners, are currently not willing to sign the proposed IGA from TriMet. If you recall, we went through this a couple years ago as well. There's some attorney wrangling back and forth. So we haven't seen that funding. And again, that should have started July 1st. So we are running our expanded service on Sam Gresham, Sam Estacada, and the Shopper Shuttle. Hopefully we'll get that IGA signed and that money will start coming through and we'll get reimbursed. But currently we are running it on our own local payroll tax. I will probably be bringing more updated information about the IGA process at another time. Like I said, we're kind of in the middle of attorneys and back and forth. The Clackamas County providers are not happy with the IGA that TriMet has proposed or the process to get to agreement. So to be determined when those STIF funds do come through, but there is a plan, and once that IGA is signed, we will get those funds. FLAP funding, we currently, so that application was postponed. It's due October 7th, and Teresa and I have kind of been going back and forth with the latest draft, and we'll have it put forward by the 7th. Hopefully, I think the last email I saw of hers was the 5th. If we get that funding, what we have asked for in that application is a continuation of the 4 hours Saturday morning, as well as the continuation of 8 runs on Sunday. Christina also put together a proposal a while back that would interline the Estacada route and the Village Shuttle, so we could use the same vehicle, change the current schedule of both services, but barely here and there, and add 2 runs to the Estacada route. And it's 2 to the Village Shuttle too, right, Christina? Yeah, okay. So there is an extra ask in that FLAP application that would add 2 runs to our Village Shuttle and hopefully interline those services to provide more opportunity for people to be able to ride. So that is, again, to be seen. We'll see what happens there with that grant application. We are asking for 3 years of funding in that application. The only update I want to give on COVID is that the FTA expanded mask mandates to January of 2022 on all transit vehicles. So we will continue, no matter what happens at the state level, to wear masks until January of 2022, unless in January of 2022, they kick it out longer. And then finally, in old business, our transit vans are here. They're beautiful. I've heard good feedback from the drivers. They like them a lot. They're getting wrapped on Friday. They were supposed to be wrapped a couple weeks ago, and then the installer got COVID. So he's now out of his quarantine time and will be here on Friday to wrap the buses and hopefully get them into service We realized though today or yesterday that they don't have fare boxes. And as of October 1st, we are charging fares again. So I got to hurry and order some fare boxes for them to get them in service. Hi. Sorry, my mom.
You can't hear her. Do you want to say hi? No. You want to say hi? No. No, hi.
She looks so grown up.
You're interrupting my meeting.
That's
She
okay.
doesn't care.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's your turn too, Christina, if you want to give us some neighbor updates. Unless somebody has
Okay,
questions about our funding.
Yeah, why don't you do questions and then I'll give you some updates.
I don't see questions.
Okay. I have to keep it in there. Sorry, now I have to multitask. Can you go see your dad? Yeah. Okay. All right. So Andy was talking about the flap ask, which the flap ask, Andy actually had 3 village shuttle extra runs, not just 2. So for a total of 7 interlined runs. So that serves a huge purpose up on the mountain, getting people back and forth to and from Estacada up into the mountain communities, and then the mountain communities obviously back down into Estacada. And that kind of ties in with our longer term plan of potentially trying to help Estacada connect into Clackamas Community College. So there's a kind of a grand master plan going on here, but it's a step-by-step process. So interlining those 2 first would be helpful, and then we'll go from there. I have graphs of ridership numbers as well. That I can share real quick here. And so our graphs look similar to the city of Sandy's, and much like what Andy said, you can look here in March of 2020 and see ridership just completely deteriorate down to the lowest point ever, actually, in April. And then the green line here is actually our kind of recovery, where we started coming back up a little bit, and then yellow is this year. So we're seeing about a 35% decrease in ridership from our previous highs as well, which is, better than a lot of agencies are seeing at the 50%. So we're hanging in there. We actually did just start collecting fares again on the Mount Hood Express. So far, no issues, but fare revenue for Clackamas County with the Mount Hood Express is actually fairly important. It makes up, for a lot of agencies, it makes up very little of their funding, in the 5 to 10% range. For us, it's more like 25% to 30%. We don't have a payroll tax that we're able to collect to use to pay for things. So fares actually become a necessity. I haven't heard any negative feedback from that. I mean, I'm sure people enjoyed riding free while they could. And obviously, if there were issues that came up where somebody wasn't, where we heard of it, that somebody wasn't able to take public transportation and because they couldn't afford it or something, we could have some individual conversations about that if we needed to. But nothing has come up so far. Hi. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Husbands
Totally
that are
fine.
taking care of toddlers don't always come through in the way that you need them to.
Okay, it's okay,
So
Christina.
It's adorable.
It's the cuteness factor. It's okay.
It's totally adorable.
So I think that's all I have for tonight. No major updates. I mean, so many of them are just the same as what the city of Sandy has, where we got our extra CARES Act funds, and we have stiff plans, and we just kind of chug along together almost side by side in this whole process. So I think that's what I have for tonight, Andy. I don't know if anybody on the phone has any questions, but.
I have one question regarding fares. Now, within Sandy, are our previously equipped booklet and ticket sites available to purchase tickets for both Mount Hood Express and for Sam?
So you were asking about books that could work for both or separate?
Sorry, I'm asking if our same ticketing spots are available. So the Sandy Library, City Hall, Op Center, and so on. Are those all ready for October 1st?
Yes, we are all a go. Everything is
great.
back open, everything's available. Sandy Library has been great. Yes, of course, they're always great. They've been on top of it. They even came requesting, it was Mountain Express books, I think, was it Muna, that they were like, okay, we keep getting asked, like, we need to sell their books as well, because it was, you know, we kind of did a trial run with Sam. So yeah, we're all back and open and in business.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Thanks, guys, for being patient with me. I apologize. I need an interior lock on this door.
Hey, you know what? Thank you, because it's a late meeting and you got little ones and we love it. Like, I love seeing her, so totally fine.
Good.
Anybody have anything else before we move to adjourn the meeting? Next meeting is Wednesday, December 15th. Hopefully, possibly, maybe at the Op Center.
From your lips to God's ears.
That would be great. We could have a little Christmas dinner, and Christina, you can still Zoom, so you don't have to drive over here.
You'll miss great food though, but that's all right.
True.
I love the Zoom meetings. I love the Zoom meetings for these types of things with little ones at home. It saves a lot of time.
Absolutely.
That's because you don't have a beagle barking.
True statement. I just have toddlers that come when I'm supposed to be talking and presenting. So.
Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:51?
I'll set the motion for the.
And I'll
adjournment.
second it.
Okay,
Okay.
Bernice moved, Karen seconded, placed the second, yes. And okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Great
Thanks,
questions
everybody.
for Mark and everything else. Thank you, Robert.
I'm out. Oh, Maya won
Have
her
a-
volleyball.
Huh?
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Oh, good night.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.